I had to go back today, like when I was like listening through everything, to try and remember like what me and Jay talked about, because I was like, okay, I want to make sure like we don't talk about the same stuff. And for some reason,
Yeah,
I think just because of like when we did that episode and it came out in like January of last year, that I just felt like the album came out then. And then I double checked and I was like, no, the album didn't even come out. Like we didn't even talk about it at all. I think we
yeah.
like
There's
hinted
been
at it, and that
like,
was about it.
yeah. I doubt it was even done being written at that time. There's been tons of like touring and all kinds of shit since then.
Right. But yeah, no, I'm stoked. We'll have a good time with this. My only question for you before we fully start is, do you have an unopened beverage that you would like to participate in the opening crack with me?
Boom,
Hell yeah, got the
ready to
LaCroix.
go. I promised.
That is true. There was the tweet to set it all in motion. Um,
Yeah,
all right. So what I'll do here is I'll count us in. We'll do this crack, and then I'll do the intro and bring you in, and we'll just have a good time.
cool. Sounds good.
All right. In three, two, one. Welcome to the Beers with Bands podcast with your host, Michael Torres. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. Uh, this week is a very special and kind of cool episode because I've had Kerosene Heights on the podcast before, but that time I sat down with their guitar player Jay. This week I'm sitting down with Chance. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Dude, thank you for being down. When you sent that tweet about like doing another one of these, like to me it was like so out of the blue, and I was so touched, and I was like, dude, of course, like I gotta have you on. Start collecting all the members of Kerosene Heights at this point.
Yeah, I think I was just listening to it and I was like jealous that Justin got to do one. So I like talking about our band too. So
Well, hell yeah. Well, I'm stoked to have you on. For people that might not remember of Kerosene Heights, which one, what are you doing? You should all know who Kerosene Heights is. Kerosene Heights is an emo band from Asheville, North Carolina. Currently signed to No Sleep. They put out their debut full length last May, called Southeast of Somewhere, which we'll talk a lot about today. If you want kind of more background lore on the band, definitely go check out the episode that I did with Jay. Came out January of 2023. Funny enough, that episode with Jay, Kerosene Heights, was actually the first video version of the podcast that I had done.
nice,
So Kerosene Heights
nice.
holds a special spot in my heart for that.
Hell yeah, I love that.
Um, but before we go too far, obviously, we're getting into a new member. Chance, what do you do in Kerosene Heights? In case the people don't remember.
So I play rhythm guitar. I play easy guitar, and I sing and write songs. I do most of the singing, but not all of it.
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
and then obviously, I mentioned Jay. There's a couple other members that aren't here as well. Who are they, and what do they do in Kerosene Heights?
So Justin plays hard guitar, and he also sings sometimes. Elle is our bassist. She also sings sometimes. Any of the like real screamy stuff is usually Elle. And then we have a new drummer. We played a couple shows with him at this point and feel really good about it. His name is Benji, newest member of the band.
Oh, hell yeah. And like I normally say for the members that aren't able to make it to these episodes, this is where we pour one out in their honor. And by pour one out, I just mean we have a drink in their honor.
Oh
This is to
yeah.
them.
Shout out to y'all.
uh, yeah, you guys can decide who's going to be the next member that I sit down
Yeah.
with as I go down the line of them all.
Maybe you can get
But
the whole rhythm section at once.
yeah, uh, but like I said, last May you put out the debut full length, which I am gracious enough to already have a copy of Southeast of
Nice.
Somewhere. Um, This is an amazing record for people that haven't checked it out. Oh shit, you got yours too. Hell yeah. Uh, this is an amazing record for people that haven't checked it out. It it captures a lot. It really is a good. Not to say like the EPs weren't good, because the EPs also were amazing. I think Something About You is still probably one of my favorite songs that you guys have put out.
Same.
Um, but this is such a solid record. I know it was on the end of year list for a lot of people, rightfully so. It deserved to be there. Um, but I mean, I'm trying to decide where we start, because like I haven't. I, when Jay was on, obviously we didn't talk much about this. I think there was hints that this was going to be coming out, and as to what you guys were working on, but we hadn't talked about this specifically. Um, but like, it's been out almost a year at this time of this episode coming out. Like, what's this wave been like for the four of you after this release?
It has been crazy. It's wild to me that like you said, it ended up on like year-end lists and stuff. I feel like so grateful for that. And like even just seeing it in people's 5x5s on Twitter and all that, like just the idea that it didn't get its like little moment and then kind of passed over, like a lot of like really great music unfortunately does. Um, just the fact that anybody is still listening to it or talking about it at all to any degree is like seriously mind-blowing to me every day, you know. It definitely, and we're not like a big band or anything, but it surpassed my expectations 100%. I mean, I saw like today on Twitter, like somebody from Japan posted a copy of the second press, like that they just got, and just stuff like that to me is like I can't wrap my head around it, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, also to break that down as to what you just said, second press. That means this dropped May of 2023, and it's already on its second press, um, which is insane. Like major props. Like this is an amazing record.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that too. It that we haven't gotten the second press yet. I don't have any of them yet. We just haven't asked for them because we haven't played any shows really. Like we haven't gone on any tours, but so I'm seeing everybody else's before I actually get to see it in real life, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and I thought like the color schemes were great. Like for people that haven't looked at the record, I kept the insert on this side. It's this nice yellow, and then the second press is a red, which kind of goes along with the second track on the album. Um, but like I think I told Jay when we spoke is I feel like 2023, especially towards the beginning when everything was dropping, like obviously, this came out at the when we recorded the EP had just kind of been re-released, the deluxe version. Um, it's Always Cloudy by Saturdays at Your Place had just dropped. Like I was already getting hints that 2023 was going to be like this emo revival, um, and this held up and like kept the wave going. I felt like for the whole year, because then obviously we had Casper Fight Scene with their EP, and like just 2023 was a stacked year, and
Yeah, big time.
like this fit right in with everything.
Thank you. Yeah. I feel like really stoked about the all the other bands on No Sleep. Like, we joined No Sleep because of like obviously the things it's done in the past, and like um were a lot of our favorite records. And I feel like we're kind of a part of something else that is happening, like another era of that record label, with bands like Saturdays and Casper Fight Scene. Um, I don't know. It's just cool. It feels cool that like we get to like be a part of that in any way.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way with No Sleep has been always like kind of one of my favorite labels doing with like their roster and stuff. Like, I mean, if you look behind me, I have obviously the mixtapes flag. I got Major League over here.
Yeah.
You can kind of see it over my shoulder over here. That's the No Sleep flag right there. And I feel like
Hell yeah.
they they did so many cool things, and then I felt like there was a little bit of a tipping point. But I feel like now with like you said, you guys, Saturdays and Casper all being on there, it's kind of like almost like this little bit revival just on their on the label roster itself, which is kind of cool to see all three of you come in within like a year of each other and just kind of keep blowing up and doing crazy things.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been so awesome. Like everything about it. The whole like album process was amazing, and like the reaction has been wild. Like our shows just like feel like we were on tour when the album came out, and it kind of feels like our shows just like overnight were different. You know, like and you know, that being said, it's like still every day there's people finding it and reaching out or whatever, and like there's still so many places to play that we haven't even been yet. um but the places we have, you know, pre and post album, uh I can just tell that it's connecting with people, and that's like all I really want.
Dude, hell yeah, that's amazing. So obviously, you know, we're nearing a year of this record, so I figure like there's a couple points that I for sure want to talk about on this record, and if there's anything I miss, feel free to chime in because like I want to make sure we cover everything about this. Um, One thing I kind of want to start with is the song Catherine. It's probably like my second favorite, um, Kerosene Heights song, and it's one that I did look at the original um, like drop dates, and that song came out a year and 1 day before this record actually came out.
Wow, I didn't even know that. That makes perfect sense. Like now that you're saying it, because we were about to go on tour in May, and we are like, let's get this out, you know. So that makes sense, but I never realized that.
Yeah, I think I saw. I think it was like May 19th is when Catherine originally dropped in 2022, and then this record drops, May 20th, 2023, which I thought was a kind of funny correlation. But how does Catherine, surpass all this time? Obviously, you did the re like the deluxe release of the EP, and it kind of stayed its own single and then gets brought back into being part of the LP. Like, how does that process come about?
So when I wrote Cat, like, so the songs on the EP are the first songs we wrote as a band, you know, like 1 through 5 or whatever. Like those are the first songs that we all put together. Um, and then that would put like Catherine at like number 7 or something, you know. Um, and it was just kind of a feeling that we had when everybody like put their parts in and record it, that like, whoa, this song is better. You know, like it feels like we've kind of like leveled up with this one. And so we all really liked it. We released it as a single solely because we were about to leave on like, I think our first tour ever. And just to have like another song out. And it was like received really well. It like seemed to be like a lot of people's favorite songs. Um, and that version was like, it very much sounds like it. It was like recorded in a basement studio and like pieced together on Logic by me, and like was not, we just felt like we were robbing that song by only having that version out, you know? And
Mm,
like people liked that version. And I knew as a fan of like punk and hardcore and just all of that, that like doing a new version might not connect, you know? Cause like I am very much guilty of the like, the first one I heard is the one I like, period, you know? Um, luckily like we were small enough to where most people's first exposure to that song was the album version, but it just felt like something that we needed to do, like uh do more justice for it, because we felt like it was a really great song and we kind of like rushed into getting it out and getting it recorded and everything. So yeah, that's it. It stuck, and I guess it was just bugging me that that was the only way people were hearing it, you know.
yeah. I mean, I will say I do feel you on the whole, where sometimes like the original version is the better version just because, like it's more DIY or it's more like punk sounding and like it works so much better. And like I went through and kind of listened to the original one, listened to the album one, and like obviously it's been re-recorded in a studio and done all that. But like it could just be my hearing loss at some point from going on all these shows. Wear your earplugs, kids. But like I
Yeah,
don't notice
seriously.
I don't notice like that big of a difference to the point where I'm like, well, the original had more of like this sound, so it's better. Like I love both versions, um, and I completely like before I had listened to the album so many times where like I forgot that it even had its own single until like I went
Yeah,
back and listened to it. So it's what I'm getting at. They're both good in their own right. It's not like one is better than the other in my opinion.
that is like the best thing that you could have told me. So that's great to me. I'm glad that like both versions like hold their own. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was also fun to just like really beef up that song. Just there's like tambourines and like acoustic guitars and shit hidden inside of the studio version. So it was
Uh,
just fun to like really play around.
Yeah, no, it's great that you brought that one back because, like you said, it for people that have originally listened to Catherine, it's a fan favorite. Like I said it a little bit ago, it's probably like my number two song that Kerosene Heights has ever put out. And to have it also mean so much to want to re-record that one and just like have that itch to redo it is great that you got to to take care of that. Um, and you can answer this next question if you want to or not, or you can plead the fifth. But I feel like I saw a tweet at some point where you said that where you tweeted about the song and something about the person that it's written about like doesn't even like the song, which is funny because everyone else loves this song.
Yeah, so it's about my current partner who I live with right now.
Okay.
But, but when we were a little band, I just felt weird about like singing their first name to like our friends at shows. So I went with their middle name, which is Catherine,
Okay.
and just to have a little bit of a wall. And I didn't know that it would. I mean, I felt on a personal level like I had written a better song than the stuff on the album, but I didn't know that it would be like the song that was like synonymous with our band at this point when I did that. So sometimes, they'll be at shows and stuff, and people will talk about the song or like when everyone's singing along, and I introduce them by their first name, and then it's like, you know, um, but no, they do like the song. Just
Okay.
they did
I could
admit
see
that
how
to
that.
me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was a little weird.
I could definitely see that. That is, I mean, smart move to use their middle name. Because yeah, being a smaller band and like just doing a song and all your friends are like, dude, we know you're talking about so and so. Like they're right. Like
Yeah,
we get it.
right. I
Like
don't
you
know.
guys are in
Something
love.
about it was, yeah, yeah. It
Uh,
was basically just a small veil of like protection of myself about feeling awkward. But no,
uh,
it's cool. They actually like the song.
dude, hell yeah. I mean, if they don't, you can always change it to Michael, and I would love it just as much.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
One other cool thing you guys did for the album is there's actually a music video out for, and I don't want to butcher names, for Same Shade of Red, um, which is this like cool little video where, and correct me if I'm wrong in any of this, I only watched it a couple times, so I want to make sure I get the story right. But basically, um, you're trying to bring back uh, your dog that has passed away.
Right. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I've never done this with somebody. Okay. This is cool.
And everyone is supposed to be doing like a blood oath to do it, but there's one member, and I don't think we ever find out which member it is that substitutes their own blood for Taco Bell fire sauce,
Right.
which I
Right.
thought was such a little clever like switch to do that. I was like, oh, like when you show the packet, I was like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen? And then you have this demon baby from hell come up and basically take your souls and like take you down to hell. Um, which I love that whole aspect of it. One, I guess, to start is who let you have a baby to dress them as a little devil? Because like that, props to that person.
Yeah, they're really cool, and I unfortunately don't even know their name. We were never actually around that baby. The band was not around the baby. But there is a real baby who did dress up like a devil, who is a friend of a friend's baby, and I can only assume that they're cool as hell.
Okay, and then
Uh,
yeah, like it's such a cool music video to go with the song, and then like my main question is when I was watching it, because at the end of it, for people that haven't seen it, not to spoil too much, like I might have already done, but you should have watched
they
it a
should
million
have
times
seen it
already.
by now.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's on them at this point. Um, you guys have the flames going. You are all dressed as like mini devils, and you're playing, which we can only assume is like down in the depths of hell. Um, so my fun question to bounce off of that is, let's say this were that were to actually happen, you get sucked down to hell. You're playing for the man himself. Um, what like, oh shit, how did I want to word this? Obviously there's probably a lot of bands that are down there, who knows, but like
Yeah.
you'd be somewhere on the festival, but do you think he's like cool with Kerosene Heights, or and he gives you like a good time slot, or he's just like I don't know.
Uh, I'd say we're cool with them. I'd say we're cool with them. We're all like tattooed and sick and evil looking and really mean and twisted and fucked up. So we probably like we wouldn't headline for sure, but maybe like a 7:30 p.m.
See,
type
not
of
bad. Yeah,
situation. Yeah,
like you
not bad, not bad.
not not opening, not headlining, like almost in that sweet spot where you're almost in the middle, early enough where like
Yeah,
there's still a decent amount of crowd. Because my other thought too was like, oh, what if you guys are like Kerosene Heights is playing as you're like coming into hell, like you're like the welcoming band or whatever, like everyone's in
yeah.
like their purgatory lines trying to like get through, like get their tickets and shit like that, and you're
Oh,
just like
like
fucking like we're playing
have
like
you
welcome
ever
to hell.
there's this documentary about this band. I think they were called Cut You Up, and they were just like this little punk band, and they got to go on tour with like Green Day and Blink 182, I think. And it just like it's VHS footage of them, but like the shows they were playing, they would be like outside the big arena, like playing to the people in line to go inside. We'd be like there, like we're playing that show kind of.
Well, I
But yeah,
was more
that's great.
meaning
I don't remember what it's called.
like you would still be playing the show, but I could also see you like on the days that the show isn't actually happening, like your main job is like we're like the welcoming band, like we'll bring you in, we'll play a lot of Kerosene Heights stuff, we'll play
Yeah,
the
let's
hits,
go.
just get you going.
We've had so much goofy satanic imagery in our band for some reason. Uh, I imagine he's got to be cool with us.
Is there anything
We're
that
doing more for the devil in emo than any other band. And Bobby Hill.
when you say that there's this imagery out there, is there something like is it in the record or in the insert that we might have missed, or is it like just
No,
everywhere else?
tour flyers,
Okay.
t-shirts, stuff like that. Like early stages. Our big like our album tour flyer was Devil Bobby Hill coming out of a pentagram. So, I don't know. Not necessarily in the album, just when we feel like being goofy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because I was gonna say like I feel like I've obviously if everyone's looked, it's just like this hand and like this field, and then like just floral on the back. And I was like, I don't feel like I missed anything on this that like would be subliminal. Um, well, I guess you do have like a this little
Yeah.
skull
There you
on the insert.
go.
uh,
Back to the video real quick
yeah.
though. I just wanted to shout out because the people who did the video, and when I say did the video, they did it. They wrote the treatment. They did everything. Was our good friends Will and Mike. They do video stuff for this brewery here, and they're our good friends. And they just wanted to do it, and they did it for free, and it is amazing. I think they did a really good job. Will wrote the whole thing. Um, we were definitely like little devil costumes, uh, but I'm glad that they got us in them because it's awesome.
Yeah,
And yeah, it was great.
sick. Yeah, no, it's when you see the band in those devil costumes, it's like it seems a little corny, but it's also like funny that like you'd be dressed up as in like the little devil costumes in hell. So like
Yeah.
it works so well. Like major props
Yeah,
to
I
them.
think so too. Yeah, they did a great job.
Let me turn this around so I can at least look at the track listing to be smart in my head. Um, one one of my favorite things, and like right before we sat down, you know, I had just done like my last listen through everything, and the song "Next to Nothing," which is the final track on the song. When you bring in those horns, I think it's like a little after midway through. I'm a huge sucker for horns that are used well in an emo song or album, and they kick in, and I'm just like, oh, this is perfection. Like it's done so well, and I love that little moment. Um, like what was the? I know it's everyone always like I don't know how everyone always kind of wants horns or something bigger in their songs, but like what was the like the thought behind like okay let's do it on this song, like let's end off on this super good high note on this record.
Yeah. So Justin is a huge fan of the band Colossal. I don't and I think they have a horn player like in the band when they were active. So Justin's big on horn. Justin will put horn on any song that we allow him to. Not that he plays any horns, but you know, he would have it all over the place. I like it too. Sometimes it felt like we were trying a little too much, or it was like feeling a little too ska-y.
Mm.
Not that there's anything wrong with ska, we're just not a ska band, you know. Um, but I think we all kind of agreed that that moment, like we wanted the end of the album to feel like a big moment, like a victorious, like huge moment. And that just felt like a great way to do that. Our friend Ben, who plays horn in Farseek, recorded that for us. And yeah, I mean, it was just kind of unanimous with that song that that would be like the moment for it. And it's on the end of the album, like we hadn't done it at all up to that point. So it really does. Like I think the first time you hear it listening through the album, I think it's really impactful for just being right there.
Yeah, I have to agree with you where um like I said, horns are amazing in the albums when they're used, but if you overuse them, it takes away from any impact that they would have had on the song. Um, and because then it's almost like oh like we're an emo band that just has horns. It's not
Yeah.
like it doesn't emphasize it. There's always every time I bring up horns in a song, there's always one song that comes to mind, and I never can remember what the title or who it's from. But like it's probably one of my favorite songs that uses horns because it's one of those things where you don't see it coming, especially like this where you don't have horns throughout the entire album, and then they just show up halfway through that song and kind of just send off the album, and it works so well. With
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, with Justin also, you know, being a fan of horns, what are some times that you've had to possibly veto uh, the use of horns in some of the songs?
um, perfect timing. There might have been horns in perfect timing. Definitely same shade of red. I'll look at the track listing too. I have like the last three of the first press just sitting right next to me. I'm in my like music area. Um, I think those were the big ones. I think like perfect timing, same shade of red, and next to nothing were the big like seriously up for consideration on horns. Maybe Mission Valley too. Um, But like Same Shade, I felt like it's got like a little synth moment, and it has like that was as polished as I wanted that to be, like it just like had enough, a lot of harmonies and the vocals and all that. Yeah, it just felt, I think we all came to agree that like that moment in that song was just right for it.
Yeah, I mean, I loved how it came out. Obviously, everyone that's listening knows like I super hype everything that comes in front of me with anyone that sits down. So if you hear me overhyping any song or just the band in general, I do apologize, but I mean it from my heart. Like this album is amazing, uh, and just like every little thing that's happening, all the songs are great. I feel like the track listing is like works very well. Like we have Salty Eyes that kind of has like this little intro leading into Same Shade of Red. Um,
Oh,
and then
here's a fun fact about Salty Eyes. That little threat of violence at the end is Christian from Cali Cousins and Dead Pets.
oh really? Hell yeah.
Yeah, when we were on tour with them, we would just set a phone behind the stage and record our sets just to like do the like football, watch how the game went type thing.
Right.
And one night in Atlanta, we didn't know this until we sat down to listen to it. He had just picked up the phone real quick and did that, and we are just like, okay, that's going on something. Those dudes are
That's
like the
amazing.
funniest people I've ever met. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had Dead Pets on recently, so it was really cool to like sit down and like just some of the shit that they've gone through. But that's funny to now know what that's actually from, because most of the
Yeah.
time with like emo bands, most of the clips, and I've also said this on past episodes, I love sound clips when they're used well in songs. And a lot of the times they're like pop culture references or clips from TV shows, but it's funnier knowing it's someone from Cali Cousins Dead Pets that like they just did on like as a joke, and then you were like, jokes on you, we're putting this in our album to start it off.
Yeah, that's on vinyl now, baby.
Did he say anything like when this album came out?
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever talked to him about it, and I've seen him since. I don't think we've ever talked about it. Maybe he talked to somebody else about it from the
Okay.
band, but not me.
We'll have to. Oh, damn, I was gonna say if I hadn't had them on already. Well, I know Cali Cousins is on the list to be on the episodes at some point, and because I've pestered them at some point, so I'll have to try and remember that one and bring it up,
Yeah,
get their point of view on it.
for sure. He probably just doubled down and be like, "Yeah, I will beat their ass."
I don't know who would win in a fight, Kerosene Heights or Cali Cousins.
Oof, man. I'll just give it to Cali Cousins. Just kidding. No, we would whoop Cali Cousins easy. They're a three-piece. And our new drummer is ripped. So just come see me whenever, Jordan and Christian and whoever else is playing in your band at the time. When we went on tour with Cali Cousins, they had a filling guitarist and Christian was playing drums. So like in my mind, that is like how the band is, but it's not,
Yeah.
That's the only way I've ever seen them. So it's always weird for me when I see videos of Christian playing guitar.
Well, we heard it here. When we start doing the DIY emo MMA
Death
stuff,
match.
yeah, dude, how sick would it be like if someone like brings back like DIY emo but like celebrity death match type shit? Like,
Yes,
I'd go for that shit. Like that show
me
was
too.
kind of amazing.
Yeah, big time, big time.
Um, so like we kind of talked a little bit of Salty Eyes. We talked about the video for Same Shade of Red. Obviously, we talked about Catherine,
Mhm.
everyone's hit. We talked about Next to Nothing with the horns, which I loved. Um, is there anything I'm missing from the other songs that we should be talking about that you want the people to know about?
Um,
Or
well, I think another cool thing about this album is that we recorded it in 3 days,
oh
uh,
shit,
which feels pretty wild.
yeah,
Um, We got to record it at Drop of Sun here in Asheville with Alex Farrar, and he did like he's done all the Wednesday stuff and MJ Linderman stuff and Indigo D'Souza and some like Animal Collective and the new Archers of Loaf record, like a bunch of shit that is cool and like different from what we're doing. And at first I didn't know how it was going to be sonically, because like they're not putting out, emo records, but I'm very happy with the fact that we went there and did it with him, because I do think it sounds a little bit different than the stuff in the genre.
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of sonically sets itself apart for going to someone whose forte is like a little different.
Yeah, I definitely feel that, but it's also nice that like it didn't come out sounding like something that they're normally doing, because that's always the risky move of like, oh, we're going to go to this person. They mainly do like, I don't know, I can't think of any bands off the top of my head, but like they normally do like a certain lane of a genre, and you're always risking that one chance of going to them and them being like just so set in their ways that they're like, oh no, we're just gonna record everything the same way I normally do it, and then it just doesn't come out how you really
Yeah,
want.
for sure. Yeah, I mean that was big on our minds, but like financially and just where we were at, it's just like what made sense for us. And they also did that new Hotline TNT record. So they definitely do some more like rock and stuff too. But yeah, we kind of just went for it, and it worked out. I'm really happy with how everything came out. We definitely had like demoitis at first, because like a lot of those songs we had been sitting on the demos for like a year or more.
Mm.
And so when we first heard mixes, we were like, whoa, like this is so different. Um, but quickly got over that, and we're like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Uh, Now since you brought up recording, in my position, I gotta bring this up for people that follow Kerosene Heights on either Instagram or Twitter. We've noticed in the past few weeks you've been in a studio doing some stuff, having some shenanigans. Uh,
Yes.
well, as much as like I already told you when this one's coming out, but like as much as you want to dive into this, like what is Kerosene Heights working on right now?
um, Gosh, I wish that I knew more about like scheduling stuff, because I feel like it's going to be real close on like when this episode comes out and when we announce stuff. But um, I will say that we're doing some splits this year um, that we're very, very excited about. Uh, and that's all I really want to say
That's okay.
about
That's okay. You can
about
leave it as vague
releases.
as you need to. It's okay.
Yeah, the songs I will say like I'm very excited about. I think there's some of our favorite songs that we've ever written, and we're like trying new stuff out. And you know the things are becoming more and more collaborative with for us all the time. It's definitely started with like me writing a song and then sending it out and people adding parts, and just through time, like the album was definitely more collaborative than that for the most part. And then now we're kind of like getting getting into a room and like jamming on songs more, which we've never really done. We would adjust stuff and like, but like for the first time we're kind of just like doing the whole like bringing riffs to the table, and like it's kind of going off that, which is like very new for me. I've never done it that way. So it's been really exciting to like see what comes out of that, and not having such like a set in stone idea of what a song is from the very beginning, kind of letting it like do its thing naturally in the room with the people that I'm playing the song with.
Right.
Um,
With doing that little bit of change with how you guys are like bringing everything together, how does that change Kerosene Heights like sonically? Like how much different is this new stuff going to be from the LP?
I definitely think that I think we're still building on our sound, and to some degree finding it, um, which I guess bands are always kind of doing, and that's like an ever changing thing. But there won't be anything left field about these. Like, you're not going to hear these and be like, oh, it's like acoustic and there's an oboe, or like, like nothing like that. It's definitely building on the sound, on the foundation that we set with the album, and I think it's just like a level up of that, which is kind of like how I felt about all of our stuff thus far. Like, we very much know what we like and what kind of music we have fun playing, and are sticking to that. Um, but we're just trying to make the best songs we can, which I think over time is just happening.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely stoked. I know when we were like setting this up and like trying to figure everything out, you had mentioned the splits. So I'm very stoked to see how those come out, who they're with, and just like kind of where you take, because obviously the LP is kind of like a jumping off point, like we said. You guys have, this is a lot of the stuff that you've really gotten more cohesive in writing. So I'm really stoked to see where this jumping off point takes Kerosene Heights and like what is next in this wheelhouse.
Yeah, I think a cool thing about this too is like they're moving forward. There'll probably be a good bit more influence from Justin in the songs, as far as like how they're actually coming together. Like, he's amazing at writing riffs and has done that for the band this whole time. But like, it's been cool to like, I kind of have such a like punk hardcore background that like sometimes Justin will bring stuff to the table that never would have came to my mind.
Hmm.
So I think there'll be more of his influence like throughout things moving forward, um, which I'm really excited about, because he is more into the like, we like the same stuff, but he also is more into the like chiller. Like, I'll never let this band be chill, but I will gladly like take elements of that.
Yeah.
And he's big on like dynamics and stuff like that. So I'm trying to let go of the wheel a little bit and like, bring in other things so that it isn't just me writing the same songs over and over again.
I
But
mean,
it's
if we
been
get a
great.
Catherine
It's
part
been,
two, it wouldn't be that bad.
yeah. Right. And like, this is like kind of happening at the same time as we got our new drummer, who's like really great, and it's just been fun. It feels refreshing and new and fun, to be. It feels just like, not like a new band, but it feels different or something. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's not a new band, but it's definitely like almost like a revival inside the band itself, because you have this kind of
Yeah,
new fresh blood in. They're ready to go. They're stoked on everything, and it's just kind of rejuvenates everything else.
exactly. And I mean, like, anytime uh somebody has to leave a band for whatever reason, there is like a moment in time of like, what the fuck, like, our last drummer kind of left like right after that big tour in August, and there was definitely like a month or two that we were all kind of like, what are we doing, where do we go from here, like trying to figure out how things were going to go. And there's no way of knowing, stuff just kind of happens, and it feels like uh it's working out really well, as opposed, and I think coming out of being kind of stressed out about the state of the band into a situation that feels like new is inspiring a lot of cool stuff.
Dude, hell yeah. I like I said, Kerosene Heights. I probably said this last year too, but Kerosene Heights 2024. I'm very stoked to see what all comes down this line. I'm going to be paying attention. I know everyone else that's listening to this episode, because everyone's homies from DIY Twitter that has met you, met Kerosene Heights either in person or through there, and like fell in love with everything. And we're all very stoked to see what you guys have coming next.
Yeah, me too. We just Now that like all the split recording stuff is done, we have just started writing LP number two. So
Oh
that probably
shoot.
won't happen this year, but hopefully it gets recorded this year.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But I am really really stoked on the songs that we just put together. I'm like currently dying to hear mixes.
Do you
I'm in
think
that
going
stage.
do you think going from like so your LP1 came out, May of 2023. You guys did some touring. Now you guys have just been recording for your two new splits. Do you think that it kind of helped overcome like not wanting to, because those songs probably could have ended up on like an EP. Do you think it kind of helped bridge that gap to like kind of just throw yourselves right back into LP mode again?
Yeah, I think that like I probably wrote 10, 15 songs to varying degrees of completion for
Mm-hmm.
the splits, and landed on the ones that we did land on. And that felt like a really good time to like feel around of like where we might want to go next and like what kind of stuff we'll want to do. And I feel like that was like gearing up for this, like all the like writing and stuff we did for the splits all kind of felt like, okay, let's get this out of our system. Let's see what kind of stuff we can do. And then we can have like a clearer idea going into the album. Plus, we recorded the splits with our new drummer. So that's like a cool, you know, start to that relationship too, is like being able to get him in quickly and like have stuff that he can feel like is his own as well. Um, and like just get us all comfortable with each other in the writing process and everything as we go into this was really cool.
Yeah, definitely like a nice little like glimpse into, okay, we're doing these splits, but it's a nice glimpse into this is how it would be doing something else on our that's fully our own. So it's nice that,
Exactly.
yeah, that you were able to bring in the new drummer to timing worked out to do all that. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit before we started recording. There is another cool thing that Kerosene Heights is doing this year. Um,
Yes.
you have obviously everyone's dying to see you in their home cities. You have a tour that you mentioned talked to me about, um,
Yes.
which is super amazing. I'll let you take it from here and say it.
Okay, yeah, this is the first time I've said anything about this out loud. um, Let me pull up the dates and whatnot real quick. So this April, wait, no, yes, April. This April, we'll be going on tour with our label mates and new friends, the Casper Fight Scene. Um, it's kind of a short tour, but um, we're playing Indianapolis at Healer, which I'm really excited about. I hear great things about that venue. And last time we were supposed to play there, we had to cancel. But anyway, Indianapolis at Healer, St. Louis at the Sinkhole, Tulsa, Oklahoma at the Vanguard. We're playing a free festival in Denton, Texas at Andy's called Thin Line Festival. And then we're playing our hometown in my home state for the first time ever in Nashville at Dark Matter on 4/27. Um, and that is going to be sick. I cannot wait for it. I love that band. I feel like we're very much like on the same like wavelength of like emo punk. Um, and I can't wait to watch them play every night.
I'm very jealous that that tour is not, stopping in my neck of the woods at all.
What is your neck of the woods?
So I'm in Minneapolis.
Okay, I've
So
never been. I want to go.
well, yeah, you guys have to get up here at some point. I got you for everything once you guys get to town, but you guys need to make it here. Uh, but like for everyone that should be going to this tour, Kerosene Heights, Casper Fight Scene, that alone is such a stacked tour package. Like I told you before we started, because like obviously southeast of somewhere, you're gonna hear most of this, and then Casper Fight Scene put out a killer EP in the fall of 2023, and you're going to hear pretty much all of that probably, plus probably some new stuff if they have it in their wheelhouse. Like it's going to be like it's going to be such a good show. Everyone needs to go to those shows.
I agree. Everybody does need to go to those shows. They're going to be great. I haven't seen them yet. Actually, this kind of is like maybe a little skip ahead for the podcast because it's a tour story, but I feel like it's applicable right now.
Yeah, go for it.
So when we were on our big tour in August, it was like 25 days, I think, and we are in Lansing, Michigan, at the Goblin Zone. Which, if you're in Michigan and around that area, and you're not going there, like you need to be, it's one of my favorite like DIY space. It's literally just a garage and a house, but it's one of my favorite DIY communities that I've like come across in touring. It's just like a great environment. It feels very safe for everyone. It's amazing. Kiefer, the person that runs the space, is amazing. Anyway, we played a show there. It was great. People were crowd surfing in a garage, like a regular style garage. It was crazy. Um, there's actually a documentary on YouTube about the Goblin Zone, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool. I watched it the other day. Anyway, we were playing a show there, and two bands there um, were doing a battle set at the end of the show. And I think at this point, like I had heard that the Casper fight scene got signed to No Sleep, but I think it had like just happened. And I wasn't familiar yet. And maybe that hadn't even happened yet, actually. Maybe I didn't know them at all. But anyway, at the end of the battle set, these two bands covered the Casper fight scene, and the room went nuts and like exploded. And everybody knew every word to the songs, to the song that they played, and not a single member of the band was there. And I was just like blown away. I was like, I've never seen um a scene go so hard for a band like that, and that's the case for Michigan all the time. I mean, you
Yeah.
have Saturdays, you have Hot Mulligan, like the list goes on and on. But just to see that, like they didn't even have to be there, and two local bands came together to cover them, and the whole room knew every word to the song. I was just like, wow, this band doesn't fuck around at all. um, so from that moment, I was like, wow, okay, we got to play some shows. And Kiefer mentioned it to me that night. They were like, I really wish we could have got Casper fight scene on this. Like, y'all would go perfectly together. Um, and so, yeah, it is something that I'm very stoked about.
That's amazing. Like I had the chance to sit down. They were on the podcast in, I think they were in October of 2023. I don't know. It's out there. Go look it up, people.
Yeah.
But it's getting to sit down with them. They were super nice. They're also one of those bands that I'm waiting for them to make their way towards the Twin Cities, so I can see them as well. Like that Michigan scene is just so fucking stacked with bands. I mean, like you mentioned, Casper, Saturdays, Hot Mulligan is obviously from Michigan, but then there's also
Charmer, Liquid Mike.
yeah, Liquid Mike just dropping that fucking record, blowing the fuck up.
I love that record.
There's Clipboards, Tournament, small.
Yeah.
I think Small Conference is from there. That has some of the members from Casper, but like
It's Your Friends is from there.
The list
They
goes
played that
on
shit.
and on.
Yeah.
It's such an, for people that aren't tuned into that scene, it's such a crazy scene. It's amazing.
And it's not even like all the bands are sick and very much deserve what they get, but like the thing that is like most insane about it to me is the like community support there. Like I saw a kid with a Saturdays at Your Place tattoo at that show in Lansing. Like it's like they ride for their fucking bands, and that is so cool. That is so cool. Like you don't, there are other places for sure. Ohio has an amazing hardcore scene. Milwaukee, like Imway, Thumbs Up, all of that like has the
Right.
same kind of vibe to it. um but man, Michigan just goes dumb for
Well, the
music.
crazy thing is too with Michigan is that like yes, Milwaukee, like Thumbs Up Records has this crazy scene. Like their whole label, most of them are all in Wisconsin, mainly Milwaukee, some in Madison, which is only like I think That's only like
I think it's like an
3 or 4
hour or
hours.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not very far. But when you go to Michigan, fucking Charmer and Kerosene Heights are up in the Upper Peninsula. Like they're so spread out, and the fact that
Yeah.
there's still have such a tight knit scene is something that
They
just like
drive. They
it's
drive. There
yeah,
were
it blows my mind. It's so cool.
yeah, there were people at that Lansing show from like um all over Michigan, you know.
Yeah,
They're committed and I love seeing that, you know.
it's
It's
amazing.
just like the mutual like nothing makes me feel better than when people are singing our songs and the fact that the songs meant enough to them to know all the words in the first place. Like it's just like such a mutually beneficial, like cool thing when people are really engaged with the scene around them.
Yeah. With this tour, you know, like you said, stopping in Nashville, which is your hometown, how like how's that gonna feel? Like have you even thought about like what that's gonna mean for you yet? Or like what it like hints yet?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know how it's gonna go. If in all honesty, like I when I left Nashville, I was in a pretty rough place. I was like going through some like drug addiction stuff, and like that's actually like put me in Asheville. Um, so it's gonna be a little weird, you know. I have gone to Nashville to like visit my family, but like very privately, you know.
Mm.
Just like go hang out with my family and then go home. They like live in a suburb outside of town, so it's not. But I haven't been back to Nashville in a way like that since I left. So it's exciting. It's nerve wracking. There's a lot, you know. But it is also like where I got my start in DIY and like doing DIY music. And, you know, I was in like hardcore bands when I was like 15 years old up to the point that I was like 19 or something. Um, so it's going to be cool. There's a lot of people I'm really looking forward to see. It's going to, you know, I was playing Dark Matter, the earlier variations of it back then. So I'm looking forward to it, but like internally there's like a lot of like, you know, anxiety about it too. But
Yeah.
overall, I'm stoked. Overall, I'm very stoked. I think it's going to be really good. Like, there's a lot of people that I'll get to see that I haven't seen in a long time, and
Cool.
you know, hopefully, it's a good show. If it if nobody comes, it'll just be a bummer. But I think it'll be good. We're
Well, you
playing
know,
with some
hopefully
sick bands.
yeah. Hopefully it goes well. And you know, you get to see everyone that you need to see. Um, you know, like when I go home, I see my main people. Everyone else,
Yep.
again, low key, fuck off. But I see my main people, and that's all that
Exactly,
matters.
exactly. And it's not like super deep, but this is the first like open invitation for anybody who I've known to like come hang out. And I
Yeah,
just like I don't know where I'm at with that yet, but
yeah.
um
It's always weird, but you know, like I'm so stoked for this tour. When you sent me that message saying that this tour was happening, uh, like I think I told you before we started recording, like you can't just like text that to someone and then just like nothing. Like it's amazing. I'm so stoked for that. Um, you know, I know we kind of jumped around a lot on this record, but is there anything I might have missed? Since I have this, I'm going to keep holding it up. Is there anything I might have missed on Southeast of Somewhere um, that
hmm.
we need to talk about for these people?
um I think people should listen to the song in suspension more. uh it's I don't know. Even my dad said it to me. He was like, even on perfect records, there's that one song that just doesn't hit like the rest. And I was like, okay. But I love that song. No, I mean, this album is like very much an introduction to us. You know, the EP is just kind of something that we recorded and did on our own just as a way to like get out there and play shows. And I feel like this is like a bit of a more formal introduction to us as a band. I feel like it touches a lot of ground and like goes a lot of places, but feels like us the whole time. Like you can pick up on a lot of different influences, throughout. And I think it definitely like encapsulates, you know, a lot of our sound as a band, lyrically, like me as a person, all these songs are like super personal to me. Um, and yeah, it just I feel like it's stuff that people can connect with, and that's like the biggest. I've said it a couple times throughout this, is that like that's the biggest thing for music for me, is the like feeling of it, and being able to like relate to someone through it. That is what I do it for. That's what I look for when I'm listening to music or a new band for the first time. And that's basically like all I'm trying to offer here with this, um, relationship stuff, drug stuff, having a pet stuff, um, the burnout that just comes with living in America stuff. Like we got it all. It's all here. But yeah, I'm very proud of that record. I'm very happy with how it came out. And even if there's just a couple people that like really, really fuck with it, I will be happy.
Well, everyone, make sure you go get a copy. We'll talk links here in a little bit. Um, but we're going to start to transition. But before we fully do, before I even get to this beer segment, since you brought up the topic of your dad, you tweeted something. It's probably been like at least a month now, and I saw it and I immediately put it into my notes for tonight's episode. You had tweeted something along the lines of getting your dad into the band Title Fight.
Yes.
I think that's amazing that you were able to accomplish that. Does he have a favorite Title Fight track? Like, how deep is he into Title Fight at this point?
He bought Shed. So in that post
Oh,
was a
shit.
screenshot of our text, where he just texted me one night. Just he's a record collector and everything. And he just sent me a picture of his turntable with a copy of Shed right next to it. Um, but the thing about my dad is like, my dad is the reason that I am the way I am. Like he was a 90s hardcore kid. So he loves Gorilla Biscuits and Minor Threat and all that. And I'd been trying, but he's like an older dude. He's not really looking for new music.
Right.
But he put me on to like he through my life from the age of like 5 moving forward, like introduced me to punk in a way that like, starting with the Clash and the Sex Pistols, and then moving on to like the Descendants, and then like, Bad Brains, and then into the heavier stuff like Black Flag. And then, it just, he like took me through the evolution of hardcore music. So in that regard, it's not that shocking, but I have been trying to find a band that I found that my dad thought was fucking sick my whole life. And it finally happened. And I think I like sold him when I told him that Walter from Gorilla Biscuits produced Shed.
Mm,
I think that was like because he loves Quicksand too, like all Walter stuff he's big into. And
yeah.
I think that was finally the like, when he told me, he was like, before I listened to it and you were telling me about this band, they just sounded like the most like basic, like straight edge. That name is just like the most basic straight edge hardcore band. So I just was like, whatever. And I was like, well, yeah, they came up with it when they were like 10 or something. It just like stuck with it. So it is that, but the music is not, and he gets it now. But yeah, that was sick. That was like a big accomplishment for me, because I always show my dad stuff and he'll be like, it's cool. But I think that was the first time he's like went out and bought a record that I was like, yo, check this out.
Yeah, that's amazing. I don't like my dad doesn't collect records or anything, but I don't think I could ever be like, "Hey, you should check this out," and like fucking like actually listen to it, and he'd be like, "Okay, mijo, like I'll see, but whatever," and then just like
Yeah,
brush it off, and
yeah,
I'd be like, "All right, I tried, go fuck myself."
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have felt that way before too. Like I've sent him stuff expecting him to be like, what? And he's just like, yeah, this is cool. It sounds like the bands I used to listen to. And I'm like, okay, well, you were less impressed than I thought you would be, but he was impressed with Title Fight. So There's
Oh
that.
yeah. Well, shout out to your dad for being down with Title Fight. I know like
Yeah.
it's usually like once a year. Noisy the magazine did like this whole "This is hardcore" like little like biography video. It's on YouTube. Everyone can like look it up. And I watch it probably like once a year. It's mainly focusing on like the New York hardcore. So
Yeah.
you kind of see like it starts out with like like um, agnostic front and like kind of through the ages, and then the episode ends with like talking about Title Fight and like how they're like the
Oh,
new age.
cool.
So it's kind of like a full circle thing. But yeah, I usually watch it when I'm like I need to get my like hardcore fix again and just like do that.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad also he listens to that podcast Turned Out a Punk with Damien from that band Fucked Up. Have you heard of this podcast?
No.
It's good. It's like people from whatever, they can have any job or whatever, but if they have a past in punk music, then they can be on the podcast. Like Anthony Bourdain was on it, and then like or like it's just all over the place. But anyway, he listens to that podcast, and I think all three Russin brothers were on an episode together, and he was like, "Oh shit, this is the band Chance talks about." It was like a compounding factors, He listened and he was like very impressed with their hardcore knowledge and thought they sounded like cool people. And I think that is when he finally like gave it the real shot, After all the things I told him and hearing the podcast, he like, when our worlds collide like that, I think he's more interested.
Yeah. Well, as much as I love Title Fight, this isn't their episode. If they want to come on, they know
No,
where to find me. This is Kerosene
it can
Heights'
be. They can
episode.
have it if they want. Just
uh,
kidding.
but now we're gonna start transition to the later half of this episode. As I normally say, uh, you don't have to be drinking all these episodes because I'll definitely do that for you. But Chance, I know you're drinking a beverage tonight. What are you drinking on this fine Tuesday night?
I'm drinking a flavor of LaCroix that is maybe polarizing, might be the word. I'm drinking a limoncello LaCroix. I used to hate them because they taste like cake frosting. But then I just had one on a hot day when I really needed a drink, and it was the only thing at my work. And I fell in love. And now there's a case in my refrigerator. I don't know, just connected that one day. It's like
Yeah.
music. Like sometimes if you just hear it at the wrong time, it doesn't connect. But then you have a 6 pack of LaCroix limoncellos in your fridge, all of a sudden.
I also, I think I told you this earlier too. Like I commend you because when you sent the tweet, basically calling me out to be on another episode, forcing my hand, which isn't hard to force. Like you mentioned, you were going to be drinking that exact flavor, so I'm happy that you're drinking the same exact flavor like that you said you would.
Yeah, it's fun. Nobody in the band drinks that much. We all kind of go back and forth with it a little bit. Um, and nobody's drinking right at this very moment. And so we're always trying new flavors of bubbly waters. That's another cool thing that our new drummer Benji does. He just supplies tons and tons of sparkling water at practice and at shows. It's great. And it's always crazy new flavors.
Dude, hell yeah.
Um, but yeah, the limoncello is stuck with me somehow. I don't know how. It's like totally not normally up my alley at all.
Sick.
Yeah.
Uh, and then for on my end for this episode, I'm just drinking a good old hams for all the
Hell yeah.
dedicated punk people.
That's my favorite drink ticket beer. Can't beat it.
Yeah, I mean you really can't. Like I'm more of a PBR guy, but like I don't hate on hams. Like it's good. It's
Yeah.
refreshing. I
I
It
like the
gets me
look of
every
the
time.
can.
Yeah, it's a sleek look. It gets me
Yeah.
every time because the slogan at the top of the can is just the beer dot 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 refreshing exclamation point. It's like I feel like they're missing words in that sentence or like they're wanting to
Yeah.
say more, but then they're like, oh, we're just hams.
That's a very like Homer Simpson slogan. Like, there's not much to that. It's just
Right. Uh,
I think Hams wasn't really like big when I was a kid. So when I got older, I was like, cool, new, weird, cheap beer.
yeah.
And now I'll go for it every once in a while.
Um, but yeah, so that's the drink segment. If everyone's listening, be sure to go try out the limoncello Lacroix, and let me know how it is. I've always had a hard time with Lacroix, so maybe I'll give it a shot. Who knows? I'll let everyone know.
It's just maybe one day it'll
Yeah.
connect the way that it needs to. Cause same. It just happened to me.
Um, but now we're gonna get into the actual end of this podcast. This is where we kind of talk about some fun stories from your time in music, whether they're shows, tours, time recording. As I normally say, they can be anything horrendous to tremendous, or any adjective in between. The way I like to think about it is think about the stories you always reminisce about with your friends. Those are usually the best ones that I love to hear, and I'm sure the listeners love to hear as well.
Yeah. Like tour always feels like kind of a blur of like just good times. We're relatively responsible and like kind of lame, so we don't have any like buck wild stories or anything like that. But just naturally stuff happens. I feel like a lot of interesting stuff happens to us like around Philly. Um
Yeah, it seems
playing
about right.
shows and
Yeah,
trying to play shows in Philly. Yeah.
yeah,
So the first time we played there was with Callie Cousins and a bunch of other bands. It was like an 8 bill show in the basement of a row home in Philly. And we were still new, and it wasn't a show that any of us felt amazing about. One cool thing is there was this band from Germany touring here, and they played that show. And one of them walked up to me, two of them walked up to me. One of them spoke zero English, just German, and the other one didn't speak a ton of English, but enough, And he was like, "Y'all are his favorite band that we're playing with here," and I was like, he obviously didn't say y'all. He said it, how he would say it, and I
right.
was just like, "Whoa, what?" Because they were like kind of like an improvised like jazz, like mathy instrumental crazy time signature, nothing like us, but apparently that dude loved like the Get Up Kids and stuff, and he said that my voice was so American and he loved it. So that was cool. Anyway, we play that show. Not a huge story there. But then like 4 or 5 months later we get an Instagram DM request, and it was like a picture of us playing in that basement. And this dude named Ryan he was like, I see, I try and see 200 shows a year or something crazy, some crazy big number, and was like, and y'all were my favorite show that I've seen this year. And because that tour was in October, and I was just like, whoa, like that show felt very like I didn't feel great about. I mean, it wasn't bad, but like, I was like
It was just another
nervous first
Tuesday
in
type
Philly
deal.
playing
Yeah,
with it. Yeah, just kind of like, uh, um, but I just, message him back. I'm like, thank you so much. Yada yada. Um, so then fast forward to May of last year, we're on the tour for our album. Um, it was literally the day after our album came out. We were playing in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and there was like nobody there. We were playing like in the back of this like sandwich cafe, and there was nobody there. Not a big deal. It happens. I was honestly like, I'll just kind of take it easy on my voice, like just it'll be chill. It is that point in tour where like you've been on the road for like 8 or 9 days, like you're fine with not playing a huge rager.
yeah.
So I wasn't upset about it. Um, so we're playing, the other band is there, like some of their extended family or whatever is there. And this was like right after the album came out. And it was the first time ever that every show we had played, there had been people that knew Catherine, at least, like I noticed that every night people were singing along to Catherine, at least one in the crowd, maybe like a couple. Um, and the one thing I was like, oh, we're breaking the streak right now. No one's singing Catherine tonight. And we're playing that song, and I look back, and just standing in the back is this dude, and he's singing it to himself, like quietly. And I was like, whoa, oh my God. It was like definitely one of those, like, don't get caught lacking. Like, I need to be rocking every time, because if nothing else, this kid in Lancaster came out tonight, and like, I want him to have a good time. And so he came up to me at the end, and it was that guy who had seen us in Philly. Um, and he was like, great set. He was like, I'll be at your show in Philly tomorrow. And he was like, I work at a breakfast. I'm the manager of a breakfast spot in between here and Philly, if y'all want to stop by in the morning. And I was like, so sick. Like, that's amazing. And we stopped by, and he was straight up there in like a little button down, like full on manager mode. And it was like a nice like breakfast brunch spot. And he like comped our whole meal. Um, like we just ate good, and then he came to that show in Philly that night, also, which was tight, just like seeing stuff like that happen. That show was crazy, like that Philly show, like a week before we were gonna leave for tour. A a popular pop punk band that I won't name, that's bigger than us, kind of booted us from the venue that we had. Like, we had a hold, and they had their album release show there. And on top of that, they were like, y'all can't play, but the band that you're on tour with, we were on tour with Farseek, we'll take them for the show,
What? That's fucked up.
yeah. And I mean, whatever, water under the bridge, whatever. But we told Farseek, like, you should play it. It's going to be a sick show. There's no reason both of us should just be like bumming around Philly, like, we'll try and figure something out. But either way, like, y'all have this sold out show just on a tray for you. So take that. I get it. And so I just went to Twitter, and I was like, if they're, because we had a lineup too. We had like Elephant Jake was down to play. Like, we had like a cool little lineup. Magic Grellin was down to play, like Tank and Luke from Teenage Halloween's. Like, it was going to be a cool show. We just like needed a place.
Right.
So I went on Twitter. I was like, if there's a living room, a sidewalk, like a basement, whatever that we can have the show at in Philly, like, please let me know. And not even 5 minutes later, Into It Over It replied and was like, be on standby or something. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, we had never interacted with Evan at all or anything ever. Um, and I was just like, holy shit, wait a second. And so I went to their page, and our tour was happening at the same time as the Pet Symmetry 10 year of the two singles with Retirement Party and Camp Trash. And
Right.
they were in Philly that night at Club Yuki. And I was just like, what? And shortly after that, Keegan from Camp Trash messaged me and was like, hey, I saw your situation. I texted Evan to see if he'd get y'all on our show. But that's all I can do. Hope it helps. And I was like, holy shit, okay. And Evan sure as hell did get us on that show. And we went from literally no show to opening for Retirement Party, Pet Symmetry, and Camp Trash, like 3 days before the show was supposed to happen. It was nuts. It was so awesome.
Oh god,
Like,
that's
just,
amazing that you were able to find like the stars aligned to be able to do that. Like I'm sure Philly could have came through anyways and like found like some like house spot to do, but like to get booted off a venue that you were already supposed to be playing to
yeah.
having them ask if your other tour party can do that show, which like
Yeah.
like this isn't a shade to Farsi because obviously like
No.
yeah
We told
that
them. We talked
yeah
about it and we agreed on it. Like
yeah
100%.
like when I'm saying when I'm repeating this, I'm not like calling them. I'm saying like the people who were doing that show, like that's fucked up of them.
Yeah.
Uh, but to be able to like still hop on, get another bill to be able to hop on and have it be that bill of being
Yeah.
just as stacked, like that's oh my god, that's
I
amazing.
mean, I mean, yeah, it worked out perfectly. Us and Farsi played way better shows in Philly that night than we would have played together, like it definitely like turned out to be the best case scenario. That was crazy. Like, and then just like, we just try to have fun. Like we go and like we try and find shit to do in the towns we're in. We went to the steepest street in America in Pittsburgh. It was underwhelming. Um, it was very steep though. I believe it's the steepest, but still not that exciting. Um, we like to go swimming a lot. Uh, there's like natural springs in Florida that we hit. Like we're in Florida, it seems like a lot. So whenever we're there, there's like natural springs where the water is like 68 degrees all year. Um, so that's like a common fun thing we do. I mean, yeah, just all like every festival is like crazy. And like later after that show, like this most recent October, like I got to fucking be in the pit with Evan Weiss while Seisha played at Fest. Like just crazy shit like that, Like all those festivals are always awesome because it's like so full circle, Like you go around and like make all these friends and see all these people all over the place. And then you get to play one of those festivals that they're also all playing or attending. And it's just like a big family reunion. And those are like my favorite shows to play.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's amazing. I mean, also, you guys played Focello last year, uh,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and that was like a stacked fucking 3 days of bands. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool seeing you guys get to do all these things. Obviously, like Focello is the main like DIY one, but like getting to play Fest and like just me like especially like after sitting down with Jay and like seeing like the keeping an eye on everything as it's going and like I'm so happy for everything that's going on for Kerosene Heights.
Yeah, I feel really grateful all the time. With social media and everything, I think it's definitely easy to like get in your head about, how other bands are doing or compared to how you're doing. And like it's so easy to play that game. And like even I'm not even that type of person, but it's just hard not to be when like, sometimes I'll be at home and like a band I love is like out on the road and I'm like, fuck. Like, but I have my time too. And if I really like just take a second to sit back and think about like all the things we've been lucky enough to do thus far, like it really is like amazing to me. Like I can't even believe it. Like especially coming from the perspective of like the person I was when I left Nashville, like I definitely would not have seen any kind of possibility to be able to like make other people happy and like do things that make me happy to this degree. And I feel grateful every single day about it.
Yeah, no, I'm super stoked for Kerosene Heights. I also feel that whole mentality of like seeing stuff online and feeling like you're not doing enough because obviously I'm not the only person that does a DIY music podcast. So I see a handful of other people doing stuff, and I'm always like, I'm not doing like I need to do more, need to do more, and then I just think to myself, and everything I've accomplished so far doing this, and I'm like, I'm doing okay. Like my format's fine. Everyone loves it. People keep wanting to come on. My friends keep wanting to come back. And really, that's all that matters. Like, just
Exactly.
keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just making people happy, making yourself happy.
Speaking of happy moments, before like we're starting to fully wind down here, and before I let you go, I have one last question for you. Um, from your time, I know we all like just did talk about some happy moments, But from your time in Kerosene Heights, what has been your favorite moment that you've experienced so far?
Hmm. Um, there is obviously a ton. Uh, Being in this band has definitely been a net positive for me. But you know, if I'm gonna pick one that's maybe like a deeper cut for me is like, uh, have you heard of the place Dirty Dungarees in Columbus, Ohio?
I think it sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah, a lot of bands have played there. It's a laundromat. It's also a venue.
Okay.
Um, and they do a lot of hardcore stuff, but also, I mean, like tons of bands have played there. Anyway, um, the night, the day that our album came out, on May 19th, we played a show there, and that was on that tour with Farseek, and uh, it was the day the album came out, and we were playing with like Farseek, Sign Language, Pat and the Pissers, and a couple other bands. It was kind of a big bill. But just that night, like playing that set with the album out, like all day I had been like on my phone, like seeing the response, like, and like reading the Brooklyn Vegan article, just like doing the whole thing. And like people were coming up to us at that show, like asking if we were going to play songs that just came out that day. Like, and just like the energy in that room, like I feel a deep connection to like hardcore culture and all of that, and I just felt like very special to be there that night. And we have so many friends in Columbus too, and like that set will like always stick with me. I mean, on surface level it was just the set that we played because we were on tour and our album came out that day, but like I just remember the way I felt in that moment, and like the crowd, the energy that we were getting back from the crowd. Like that was one of the first shows that went past the like, oh, one or two people know our songs. It was like the songs that were out, people fucking knew. And I could feel it. I really felt it that night. And yeah, it was just like, it felt like, you know, finally getting the record out, like being on the road while that happens, like it just felt so much like I'm fucking doing this, like uh it was great.
Dude, dude, hell yeah! I hope you keep experiencing those moments. Maybe next year we'll do another one of these, and whether it's the whole rhythm section or just another new member that I get to add to the collection, I hope I hear more moments like that because, I mean, I can't stress enough, and I know I've said it a lot during this episode. Like this, the album is killer. You guys are sick, and I'm just so happy for everything that's going on for Kerosene Heights.
Thank you so much. That really does, it means the world to me.
If anyone's looking for merch, music, or Kerosene Heights in general, where can they find it?
um Streaming is everywhere, everywhere that you can stream music. um I'm looking at the last four copies of the first press of Southeast of Somewhere, and you'll have to get that from us at a show. Certainly on those dates in April with Casper Fight Scene, but the second press is available right now on No Sleep Records.com. They also have some t-shirts, and maybe some other fun stuff. Um, and we're also on Twitter and Instagram. We're not on Facebook at all, but I'm just not a huge Facebook guy. So
Yeah, the podcast still has a Facebook, and I update it just once a week when I put in an episode, but I don't really pay attention to it.
I just like with social media, like if my heart's not in it, I'm not going to do it. Like to be honest,
Yeah,
I love tweeting and I love Twitter and I think it's funny and fun. Instagram's cool too, but like I'm not a Facebook guy. I'm not a TikTok guy, so I just like don't. We have a TikTok actually that L runs, and right now it's just like girl dinner videos and stuff. But she keeps saying that there will be real content on there one day. So if you do want to follow us on there, it is available. It's just, you know, silly.
Well,
But we're just
on, yeah.
at Kerosene Heights on everything. We're the only people with that name.
Well, depending on where you found this episode, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, or you watched the YouTube version and got to see Chance's lovely face like I did tonight, check the description down below. Hit those hyperlinks. Go follow Kerosene Heights on all their platforms. Be ready for the tour in April with the dudes in Casper Fight Scene. Be ready for those splits coming some point this year. Be ready for LP2 possibly next year. Just be ready for the next bangers on bangers on bangers that these dudes put out, and I'm sure we'll see some festival lineups. You guys are playing Pugfest this year, and that's in June. I think the last weekend.
Keep your eye. Yes, definitely keep your eye out on all festival lineups. This isn't me formally saying we're playing all festivals, but if you want to catch us this year on or around a festival, would be a good bet.
Yeah, you heard it here. They're playing Not Fest. They're playing Fest. They're playing Pug Fest. They're playing Coachella. Just kidding. Just think of a fest. They're playing it. Get your tickets now. If they're not on that lineup that I just said, just go to the show anyways. But everyone go listen to Southeast of Somewhere. One last big thank you to Chance for stopping by the podcast, and I'll catch everyone on the next episode. See ya.
Bye.